And welcome to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Dr. Pepper. Along the banks of the Brazos River, McLean Stadium, the home of the Baylor Bears, who take to the field for the first time in 269 days. It's their Big 12 opener as Kansas comes to town. Rock Chalk Jayhawk on the road for the first time in 2020. Great to have you with us tonight. Alongside of Kelly Stoffer, Roy Philpott. Already a wild day in the Big 12. Oklahoma upended at home by Kansas State. Who knows what to expect in this upside-down league?
I think that's the thing. All year it's going to be this way. We know it's bizarre times. There's this growing list of intangibles that we never had to consider that are going to decide a lot of football games this season.
Well, for the Baylor Bears, led by a first-year head coach who has one of the brightest defensive minds in college football, in Dave Aranda. He's going to make his debut tonight.
Yeah, Dave Aranda, the coaching Jedi, if you will, and he gets to make a debut that he really never sought after, to be honest with you. Never really saw himself as a head coach, but rest assured, even though he's soft-spoken, he's passionate and he's intense, and we get to see finally tonight what his team looks like. At the quarterback position, he has a veteran in Charlie Brewer that if you're going to coach for the first time as a head guy, you want stability in that position. Charlie is productive. He's a tremendous leader, and he's very accurate at that position. Expect him to have a massive night tonight.
Meanwhile, for Kansas, led by the Mad Hatter himself, Les Miles, it is year number 2, and he's building for the future.
He really is, and talking to Les once again was a treat. He's one of my favorite guys in this business, and Les is building a program back to the roots after high school recruiting, not JUCO and grad transfers. Build it from the roots, and we'll see how this thing plays out tonight. They stubbed their toe in game 1. Expect them to play much better here this evening.
This is the 4th different season opener that was supposed to be played for the Baylor Bears. Previous kicks against Ole Miss, Louisiana Tech, and Houston all canceled, and finally tonight, away we go in Waco. About 25% capacity here inside McLean Stadium tonight, around 11,000 expected, as Baylor won the coin toss and deferred to the second half. We're just about set, ready to go.
They are going to kick off, right? There can't be any postponements at this point in time.
That's correct.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Man, it's good to see college football again. It's good to see you again.
It's great to see you, my friend. Kenny Logan, Jamal Horn back deep to receive this kick from Jay Sedgwick. "82 degrees, a slight breeze out of the south. Picture perfect night for the Pigskin. As Horn takes it inside the 5, a stutter step, and down he goes at the 20. Well, the Mad Hatter, always known for his unconventional tactics, going back to his days at LSU and Oklahoma State, and we were tipped off earlier this week. They're expecting a new starter under center tonight, Kelly.
Jalen Daniels, the true freshman that was recruited by the newly anointed star on the offensive side, Brent Dearman, took over 6 games into last season, and we didn't really expect this guy to be playing this soon. We'll see how he handles this new system defensively for Baylor.
Hard to believe number 17 in white was in high school just 109 days ago. Then a senior, now a freshman on the big stage. As he pulls it out on the jet sweep action and a gain of 2 on first down.
And Roy, I think that's going to be one of the staples we see. Certainly Jalen Daniels is a guy that can run the football, and Brent Dearman wanted that element in his offense. It's a heavily laden RPO system, but it's a downhill run game as well.
Felton Gardner steps in as the Wildcat quarterback, numeral 0. They'll hand it off and fake it, actually, to Puka Williams. Right side gain and a first down as he's ushered out at the 32 by Kalon Barnes.
Welcome to modern day college football, and Brent Dearman likes this type of thing, and what it is a way to get your athletes on the field first of all and get them to the edge against this new Baylor scheme.
First down, Kansas, an opening loss to Coastal Carolina 2 weeks ago. Gain of 1 on first down to bring up 2nd and long.
So what we're going to see schematically out of Kansas's offense is a spread system. It's an RPO system. Brent Dearman literally wrote the book on the RPO, evolution of the RPO, but it's married to the Gus Malzahn spread downhill type of run game.
Daniels, the quarterback, pulls it out, eludes one tackler, then stacked up, driven backwards. He's going to lose 4, maybe 5. It'll bring up 3rd down and long as Baylor brought pressure. TJ Franklin led the charge that time.
And so that's the order of the day for Baylor defense tonight. It's to muddy up the reads by the young quarterback. And you can see right there, first of all, it wasn't blocked very well. Secondly, you want to confuse the decision maker, especially when he was in high school 100 days ago.
3rd and 13. 2 minutes in here in Waco. The Big 12 opener for KU and the Baylor Bears. Backside pressure across the middle. And well short of the line to gain. A late flag on the field, and we'll see if there was some funny business going on as Daniels was tackled by Cole Maxwell.
TJ Franklin, the defensive end, may be getting called for a late hit. And if it's a late hit, is it the targeting type? We didn't get the signal for the referee, but I believe he said with targeting, right? So TJ Franklin gets called for targeting, and it is one of 2 varieties. It's forcible contact with the crown of the helmet or forcible contact above the shoulders in the head and neck area.
That would be an enormous loss for Baylor.
Because remember, Roy, Baylor is minus 3 defensive linemen that are in the NFL currently.
9 starters gone from that squad from a year ago with Ron Roberts taking over, the new defensive play caller. He actually hired Dave Aranda back in 2007 as his defensive play caller at Delta State. Aranda then returned the favor when he got this job in Waco.
As we take another look at it, the quarterback was getting undercut at the time that TJ Franklin arrived. I didn't really see the marker that is a launch that determines whether there was a forcible contact. There has to be an indicator of some, and the quarterback is literally falling down when Franklin arrives, and it would be unfortunate. And remember, intent doesn't matter a lick when they're calling targeting.
Kevin Marr, our referee, our replay official tonight, Don Capral, this veteran Big 12 officiating crew. Let's take one more look at that last sequence, and you mentioned it. Franklin came flying in. So take away the targeting, roughing the passer stands. Franklin remains on the field, which is important for the Bears. And after all that, it's still a first down for KU.
And that might be the biggest development, that TJ Franklin gets to stay in the game. And I think that was rightly called. I don't know that there was forcible contact involved in that as the quarterback was starting to go to the ground. But TJ Franklin looked like he was trying to avoid the head and neck area.
Jalen Daniels making his first career start, a freshman from California. To the air. And a strike delivered for a first down to the 28-yard line. Stephon Robinson reels it in. 1st and 10 for Kansas. Petrie in coverage stopped him.
Impressive from Jalen Daniels. He starts to the left side, and then it's Robinson that is running the short out corner route to the right side. So it's one thing to start on one side of the field, but to deliver it on time on the opposite side of the field is really impressive.
Kansas right now playing with house money. Puka Williams, the all Big 12 running back, has yet to really touch the rock. And they're driving on their opening possession. And there's Williams. dances his way close to the 21-yard line, stopped by Franklin, a quality pickup on first down.
And Puka Williams is the difference maker in this offense. And so I believe Brent Dearmon's intention is to add a very good quarterback, a mobile quarterback to the mix as well.
See the 1,000 yards on the ground a year ago. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and there he goes for an easy touchdown for the Jayhawks. What a statement drive on the opening possession of the night for Kansas.
Well, Jalen Daniels, welcome to major college football. And one of the themes we've seen early in this season is shoddy tackling with teams that haven't been able to get out and have a ton of contact. Baylor has had 11 weeks of practice, but sometimes that practice certainly isn't game speed and not a lot of contact, and you could see it right there. There was an escape hatch out to the right side for Williams, and he finds it.
This has been the method of operation so far in the Big 12 this season. We've seen upsets the first couple of weeks across the board, including earlier today as Borchilla steps on for the point after, and just like that, KU out in front, 7-0. Back-to-back carries, first for 7, then for 21 for Puka Williams, one of the top running backs in the land, in Kansas on top early. You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN back in Waco, Texas. And the order of the day, another surprise perhaps brewing. In this conference, Kelly Stoffer, you just
Pace
never
yourself.
know.
It's early. But just exactly what the doctor ordered for Kansas. You know, they stubbed their toe against Coastal Carolina and simply didn't play very well offensively. They were missing just a little bit on some big plays, and they never did really make up for that. They were a little bit late. Ball placement was bad, but if you're going to play a true freshman, you want energy that we just saw to Kansas right there offensively.
Liam Jones sends it deep. And it'll be 1st and 10 from the 25, and our first look coming up for Charlie Brewer, whose production has increased every single year that he's been the starter for the Baylor Bears. Passing yards have gone up every year, passing touchdowns, and also rushing touchdowns as well.
Incredibly efficient. This will be Charlie Brewer's 31st start. He's in rarefied air in college football, and there just simply isn't a whole lot that young man hasn't seen. He's a leader. He patterns himself and loves to watch Russell Wilson, and I see the similarities. Accurate thrower, 77% his senior year at Lake Travis High School, set a national record. Are you kidding me? You can't do that in practice against nobody.
Lake Travis, of course, a power here in the Lone Star State. Quick toss outside to R.J. Sneed as he's driven out near the 29-yard line.
This is the matchup that's going to determine the game. It's going to be whether Kansas's defense can tackle in space. Really a big body track team as wide receivers that Charlie Brewer is playing with.
The handoff. Trestan Ebner stacked up and eludes one tackle before rushing ahead to the 32. It was Sam Burke that got there to bring up 3rd down.
How about Larry Fedora being back calling plays? He was play caller, and then he was head coach, and now he's back to calling plays again. And talking to him, I guess it's like, what is it, falling off a bike, or you never, what is that saying?
Well, you can get
Riding
back up on the bicycle.
What is it,
you know how to do it even though you haven't done it in a while.
Riding horses and bikes, but Larry Fedora's calling plays.
3rd and 2, Baylor's first possession, trailing 7-0 here at home. Brewer back to pass once again. Across the middle, has his tight end, Ben Sims, and a 1st down. Flag on the field back at the 29 as Sims bolts ahead to the 45. Well, you're throwing to a tight end here in Baylor. That's news to a lot of these fans. They haven't seen a lot of that in recent years.
Several years, I believe.
Holding. Offense number 79. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
That's Casey Williams getting a start at left tackle for Connor Galvin. Casey Phillips And right in the middle of the screen, big number 79, a massive human being at 6'5", 310 pounds. But this is where Charlie Brewer has to shine. Situational football is really the epicenter of what Fedora likes his quarterbacks to be buttoned up in. In third and long situation, what does your team need? And what they don't need is an early mistake.
Keep an eye on number 9, Tyquan Thornton, stepping up for Denzel Mims, who's now with the New York Jets. Receivers were impressive just watching them run around in warm-ups. Let's see what Brewer does. Couple of pump fakes. He'll buy some time. There's another flag as Brewer in and out of the hands of his running back, John Lovett. Connor Galvin, perhaps the guilty party that time with a hold.
Perhaps. I think you're exactly right. Casey Phillips was starting for him.
For 76, that penalty's declined, brings up 4th down.
So you get a holding penalty, and so you get pulled out of the game. And the guy that you are starting for that goes in for you, left side of the screen right here. It was great at that point, but as the quarterback starts to move around, Connor Galvin hangs on a little bit, and that happens a ton. When your quarterback isn't on the landmark that you expect him to be as an offensive lineman, the defensive lineman changes his angle, and your tendency is grab hold, and Galvin got called for it right there.
Isaac Power, the Baylor punter, sophomore from Colorado, sends it. As Horn muffed it, quickly corrals it at the 48. So outstanding starting field position for KU's second drive. It'll be Jayhawk football when we come back. 7-0 Kansas out in front of Baylor. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, year number 2. He's got 3 wins under his belt already.
Yeah, and you really can track history by the shape of the bill of his hat, if you notice that. It was real tight and shaped at Oklahoma State, and it's flattened out just a little bit more than that in Lawrence, Kansas. So there's some history going on there with that hat.
Good start for KU. Lost to Coastal Carolina 2 weeks ago. And now with the lead on the road at Baylor. No gain on the first down run. The Bears ready and waiting. Jalen Petrie got there first.
And exactly the start that you want if you're Les Miles, right? Your quarterback that's a true freshman takes it down the field. You get in the end zone with your alpha running back and Puka Williams. Your defense backs Baylor up. You flip the field. You get great field position for your second possession. All of those are good things to start this game.
Parchment moving around on the outside. Here's Daniels, the freshman, loads one up and goes deep. There's Parchment, he's open. And too much zest on that pass for the freshman.
A little bit more air. Andrew Parchment was outside to his left. You had an inside receiver taking the top off the middle. You can see right there. And a couple of steps. You just have to give your guy a chance, Roy. You have a guy by a couple of steps. Take a little bit off that. I know you're excited, but just drop it in his shirt pocket. If anything, make him go up and get it by slowing down just a little bit.
Bears looking for a 3-and-out. Daniels with time. Fires a strike right at the line to gain. Did he get there? Kwame Lassiter driven out at the 45. He's going to be about 1 yard short.
Les Miles. What are you thinking, Leslie? Are you going to go for it right here?
There is no question what he's going to do.
He's going big is what he's doing. He's bringing in Hishaw, the running back, big third down guy, number 20. You can see him in the backfield with a running back that's a threat to run the ball, a viable option.
And after all of that, a timeout called.
Maybe a peekapoo at the defense to begin with and see what they might be lining up at.
And they're going to check replay to see Kwame Lassiter, the second, may have gotten that first down unknowingly.
Certainly line to gain is reviewable, and you saw the strong arm by Daniels right there.
I was surprised by that.
Yeah, that's almost to the far hash, and he grips and rips. Lassiter comes back for it a little bit, but then straightens up and goes out of bounds. I think this, at the very least, it might not be a full yard. And that matters on fourth down.
It's got to be indisputable video evidence to overturn it. Clearly, he was ahead of the 45. He needed to cross the 44 for the first down. And I'm with you. I think he gained more than what the officiating crew initially marked, but I don't know that it's enough.
I think you're right. I think it will still be fourth. Yeah, I think you're right. And remember, it's not where the feet is, it's where the ball is when the feet first goes out of bounds.
Oh, you're in mid-season form tonight. I like what I'm hearing already.
So that actually might not be a bad spot.
So how about this start for Kansas? Blown out essentially at home in their opener against Coastal Carolina, now on the road with the lead. The Big 12 has been wacky, to say the least. Kansas State was upset at home by Arkansas State 2 weeks ago. What do the Wildcats do today? They win in Norman, of all places, again.
Well, in between there, they had a COVID outbreak. I mean, you just don't know. We're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds anyway, right? And then you have this preparation that's bizarre land. It's like doing football games on the moon. Quarterbacks, coaches, head coaches, coordinators, they want preparation. They want routine. There's nothing normal about what we're doing currently in college football, but God bless America, we get to call games.
On the field stands. Fourth down.
4th and 1 for Kansas. No doubt Matt Hatter's going to roll the dice.
Does that change anything?
It does not.
I don't think it does either. The thing I don't like in modern day football is you need a full yard and you have to snap it in today's schematic approach offensively 5 to 6 yards deep. You know, the math doesn't really work for me in a situation like this, but you do have a mobile quarterback.
Daniel Highshaw, the bruiser at 5'10", 200 pounds, joins Daniels in the backfield. And the inside give, needed to cross the 44. I don't think he got there. He did not. The initial spot shows he's going to be about half a yard short, maybe more. Terrell Bernard.
Half a yard is exactly it, partner. And remember, that replay didn't change a thing. We thought they could have maybe gained a half a yard, but this spot is going to be about 11.5 inches short.
Kevin Marr, the correct call. The Baylor defense holds.
And when you have a quarterback that's running some type of a read, you would like to have it read better right there. There was an opportunity to pull it out of the belly of the big back and try to get around the edge and follow the player that was in motion right there. And it could have been a called give, which in this case with the freshman quarterback, that's probably exactly what it was. No read involved.
We heard comparisons from this Kansas coaching staff to former Auburn signal caller Nick Marshall.
Yeah.
His running style, his throwing ability. A lot of design quarterback keepers under Gus Malzahn back in the day. There goes John Lovett, tiptoeing out of bounds in plus territory. And the Bears suddenly in business.
And you saw this last game against Coastal Carolina. Kansas's defense gets out of position at times. This play starts to the left, but watch the backside. It's a power play, 72-79 are polling, but it's the vision to cut it back. Gap integrity is a word we heard out of Kansas's defensive coaches, and they lacked it right there.
After a gain of 19, Lovett once again, the jump cut, the stutter step, and another first down for the Bears, an 11-yard pickup stopped by Kyron Johnson.
So Larry Fedora will go back to the run game when he needs something. Remember, he wants to run it downhill also. He'll take what the defense gives him, but he never ventures very far. You can see right there in the visor is Larry Fedora. He has a great beard, actually resembles yours to some extent.
Every time I see Coach Fedora, I comment on the great beard, and he gives it right back to me. Certainly appreciate that, Coach.
And I just shaved the morning we talked to him, so he didn't give me any love whatsoever.
I like your acknowledgement on air with that, too. There's Lovett stacked up, nowhere to run. Real estate ran out quickly. Kyron Johnson, once again, his second stop on this possession.
If you like analytics, we've got your analytics. Fedora's been an analytics guy for like 30 years before maybe that word was actually in the English language. And now we see it all over baseball and all those things. But Larry Fedora has been analyzing the tar out of offensive football forever and a day.
Of course, the former coach of the Tar Heels was the head man. I think he is feeling refreshed now, just calling plays and designing schemes for this Baylor offense. As the give straight ahead, it'll bring up 3rd down and 10 as Malcolm Lee with his first stop.
And what Fedora would like to do is a spread no huddle up approach, and it's kind of that right now. They're not really going up tempo, but he talks about more of a yo-yo tempo. You can go fast, you can go slow, and that's more taxing for the defensive coordinator.
Tyquan Thornton, bottom of your screen, 9 in green and gold. And all kinds of speed, great size, and he's open. Instead, Brewer across the middle. That should be close to a first down. Gavin Holmes makes his first catch of the season. Stopped by Ricky Thomas. It'll bring up 4th and short.
And now Baylor's going to go a little bit faster right now on that 4th and short. Try to get one right here.
On less than 2, far side run by Ebner. Flag on the field at the 9. We'll check the penalty.
I think it's going to be a substitution infraction. I don't know that Kansas got everyone off the sideline. And that's exactly what that play is designed to do, is catch the defense substituting when the offense doesn't. If the offense substitutes, you'll see the referee step in there and make the offense wait so the defense can do what they want. There's a new rule this year. Remember, the defensive player leaving the field has to be on the ground out of bounds, not just in the air.
Illegal substitution. Defense number 15. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Kyron Johnson tried to get off the field for Les Miles' squad. They'll walk off the yardage. That's a first down.
And the reason Kyron Johnson was going off the field is he's the Sam linebacker and more of an edge rusher. And they wanted, Kansas did, to try to get their heavy set on the field defensively on that 4th and 1.
Out of the gun, Ebner. Near side to the edge towards the end zone. Did he get there? They're going to mark him out just short of the goal line. Bears could pick up a first down just outside the 1. We'll check the spot. It'll be 1st and goal for Baylor.
I was just mentioning Kyron Johnson. He lost leverage right there as Baylor goes fast once again.
Up tempo for Baylor. Ebner straight ahead. Johnson lassoed him from behind, but instead he pushes across for the Bears touchdown. Trestan Ebner, a senior from Henderson, Texas.
Great second effort because Ebner didn't have it initially. Kyron Johnson gets him from behind, but it's that second effort into the end zone, and Galvin was leading the way, that big left tackle.
Now, one of the top freshman kickers in the country a year ago. John Mayer's on for the point after. Baylor fans remember his heroics. Game-winning field goal against Iowa State. A late bomb that was hit in against TCU to force OT. And perfect start to begin 2020. Bears have tied it up in the head coaching debut of one Dave Aranda. 7-7, a good one brewing here in the Big 12.
ESPN College Football is presented by Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Now some of the all-time greats, the Baylor Bears. Hall of Famer Mike Singletary, the eyes, Kelly Stopper.
I've looked into those eyes before.
RG3, the Heisman Trophy winner. He's actually worked out Charlie Brewer.
One of the first games I played in the NFL, I looked across the line of scrimmage, and there was Mike Singletary, the eyes. I said, for the love of God, what am I doing here?
That wasn't the play where you broke your nose on your first touchdown pass ever.
No, that came later. But yes, those eyes were intimidating.
Sedgwick pounds it 2 yards deep. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 25 for the Jayhawks. So possession 3 for Jalen Daniels, making his first start. The freshman from California. Pretty efficient and effective so far. What's the methodology now?
Well, I think the system that Brent Dearman runs is the methodology. I think it's tailor-made for what Jalon Daniels wants to do or can do. His skill set, dual threat. He gets the ball out quickly, if you've noticed that. He's really smooth on his ball handling, and I think his offensive coordinator, Dearman, is kind of cutting the field in half early, and we can talk about that maybe as this drive goes on to help the young quarterback out.
Gardner, the running back, numeral 0, as Daniels claps for the snap. The whole sequence felt rushed as Gardner is escorted out of bounds after a quality gain of 6 on first down. Christian Morgan was there to make sure that one didn't go longer.
I think there are less RPOs early in Kansas's game plan, and it allows the quarterback to get settled in a little bit.
Mark him out at the 5. Daniels was committed to Middle Tennessee before Kansas flipped him on National Signing Day of this year. 3rd down and long upcoming, and another test for the freshman.
See, this is an example of, I think, Jalon Daniels, unless it's a call give, he should keep the ball. Watch the defensive end at the top, steps down inside at the running back, better ball handling, and I think Jalon Daniels can get it out around the right edge right there. So I think it's a little conservative by the youngster and the play caller initially.
Parchment in motion on 3rd down. There's Puka. There's a first down for KU. Driven out, crossing the 40. Now Puka Williams, an effective ground gainer and also through the air, Kelly.
Yeah, his versatility is big time in Brent Dearman's offense. You can split him out wide in the same personnel. You can add a 4th wide receiver that happens to be your alpha running back, Puka Williams.
Gain of 12 on 3rd and 5. Here's Williams, far side surveying. Boy, he plants the leg and then explodes out of that cut. It's impressive. One of the reasons he's first team all Big 12.
Patience. All great running backs that I've ever watched and or played with, they're so patient. Because remember, it's all about the blocking in front of you. You can't create enough shots if the guys on the other side aren't blocked well. And so that's what you see out of Puka Williams, that you kind of that stutter, that limp leg inside, and he plants the foot like you said and bounces it outside, and it's speed, quickness, vision. For a smaller back too, he also has yards after contact.
Plus it's just fun to say Puka.
I like Puka.
A junior from New Orleans. Ball pops out. Daniels has to hurry, and he does. He'll make something out of nothing. Hit hard out of bounds. Lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Kalen Barnes plowed him over.
I think it was Cole Maxwell from the right side of the offense on his way by. He's looping outside. Actually, I just think that Jalon just boots it on the ground. I thought that Maxwell got a hand on him initially, but that did not happen.
3rd and 5. Daniels off the back foot with a pump fake. Eludes pressure. There he goes and hit hard. That could be targeting. And that may be the end of the game for Morgan.
A quarterback sliding feet first is a defenseless player. And so Christian Morgan has to lay off as best he can. And it did not appear that Morgan actually succeeded in doing that.
Appeared as if Daniels came up short of the first down as he initiated the slide. That's where the ball will be marked. But after the penalty, obviously that'll be a game changer.
Yeah, there's forcible contact. There's the indicator that is the crouch to decapitate the quarterback. Targeting, definitely.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness with targeting. Defense number 4, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. The previous play is under further review.
So the 6'1" junior from Houston.
And this is going to be confirmed, I think.
No question.
We can be very confident about that. And so it can be unnecessary roughness, personal foul, or with targeting. This is with targeting. But when the quarterback begins to slide, giving himself up, it can be unnecessary roughness if the indicator enforceable contact doesn't exist. But right there, you had all of it.
Spoken like a true former quarterback, by the way. You're looking out for all the quarterbacks.
Oh, man. Who wants to watch the game if those guys aren't playing?
Woo.
And it was a good job by Jalen Daniels getting down, and it's an aggressive play by Morgan, and I won't go so far as to say you can't help it because you have to.
How impressive has Jalen Daniels been so far? First start, 110 days out from high school, really flew to Lawrence for the first time back on June 29th, quarantined in California for a long period of time, and to do this when really nobody saw this coming, making a start tonight on the road.
What's interesting is he actually benefited from one of the downsides of COVID-19. Everybody was having to be dealt with virtually. And so he wasn't really getting behind in anything. And it was a great way for him to learn. He didn't have to really be in the environment, so to speak. You can learn in your own environment. I think that's important. But this young man, I think on this drive in particular, Roy, I've seen more true run-pass option type stuff.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. There was targeting. Number 4 is disqualified for the remainder of the game. First down, Kansas.
So the new rule, disqualification, means he does not have to leave the playing surface this year, which I think that was a smart move instead of being ejected.
Yeah, that was, it's not the same as fighting, where you need to go cool off in the locker room, take your pads off and do all those things, but no reason that Christian Morgan has to take the walk of shame because he made an aggressive play that just is part of protecting defenseless players in this game.
Tied at 7, less than 3 to play in a fast-moving first quarter here in Waco. Season opener for the Bears, second game for Kansas. Daniels wide open and incomplete. In and out of the hands. Gardner.
Go ahead, partner, finish.
And what could have been a touchdown.
It should have been a touchdown. But how about the movement in the pocket by the quarterback? Step up, a free blitzer that wasn't blocked, and then Gardner just doesn't finish the play.
He couldn't have hand placed that football any better.
The pocket manipulation, step up, avoid, throw a strike, and your guy drops it.
Puka Williams back on the field, joins Daniels in the backfield. Jayhawks driving once again. Baylor showing pressure. Daniels lost the snap. Down he goes back at the 40. Petrie brought him down off the blitz.
The impressive play, the play before out of Daniels, and then you are reminded he's a freshman. Take care of the very first thing, which is value the football. You can't do anything on that play that didn't call for, first of all, securing the football in your hands, and that's just not having been there enough on this stage.
Jayhawks highly average on third down a year ago. The screen. There's Puka. Makes one man miss, but brought down well short of the line to gain. And decision time once again for Les Miles, facing 4th and long as Terrell Bernard brought him down to the turf. What do you do here?
I mean, this would be a massive shot, somewhere, what, around 52 yards? Do I have that math right? And Jacob Borchilla, his long is 47.
And they're going to punt the football away as Kyle Thompson trots on the field.
It has the feel more of a 4th down play, but you're 4th and 14. If you're 4th and somewhat reasonable in this no man's land where you really don't gain much by punting, you probably go for it. 4th and 14 is a different story.
End over end as Ebner calls for the fair catch at the 10. Bears will take over there. Now don't forget, coming up next Saturday, the SEC is back, and our ESPN College Football primetime game is the Deep South's oldest rivalry, number 4 Georgia hosting number 8 Auburn between the hedges. Dogs and Bulldogs have won the last 3 rather, and 6 of the last 7. 7:30 Eastern on ESPN, also the ESPN app. Georgia trailed for a large portion of their road game today at Arkansas. before they came roaring back with DeJuan Mathis getting the start. Maybe some more questions on offense. But always a great time when those two get together. Charlie Brewer back on the field. And looking for Thornton, sails that pass out of bounds. Kyle Mayberry in coverage for KU.
And Kansas is doing a decent job on the back end in coverage, and that was one of the keys that DJ Elliott, the defensive coordinator at Kansas, told us about. Is first of all, we had to tackle well in space, and then we had to stay in front of this big-bodied track team that Charlie Brewer throws to.
Five-man front for the Jayhawks, showing pressure. Empty backfield for Brewer. Quick toss. Fleeks has it. And wrestled out short of the line to gain by Kenny Logan.
And a good job by Charlie Brewer knowing his pressure outlet, because there was a blitz. You could see Gavin Potter, 19, his will linebacker, moved to the outside, and it left a free blitzer in Stephen Parker, number 14, that knocked Charlie Brewer down, but the ball was already gone.
47 seconds remain in our first quarter. Bears need 3 to keep this drive going. Pressure. Parker really wrestled down Brewer. Instead he escapes. Yusuf Terry makes a grab, and that'll move the sticks as Kenny Logan makes his second tackle tonight.
Well, Charlie Brewer told us that he likes to watch Russell Wilson play. He patterns himself after Russell Wilson, and one of the main reasons was pocket manipulation. What do you have to do just to simply get your throw off? Well, that last play is what that looks like.
Love it. Inside give. Pick up a yard on first down. Dejon Terry with a tackle.
You would think that here sooner than later that track team that catches footballs from Brewer are going to be unleashed. Up at the top of the screen is Atkinson.
That's the end of the first quarter.
That was a quick one.
15 minutes in the books. The head coaching debut of Dave Aranda. Entertaining start in Big 12 country. We are tied at 7. Conference opener between the Jayhawks and the Bears. Back with more after this. Beautiful night at Lone Star State as the sun begins to set across the way at McLean Stadium, tied at 7. About 11,000 socially distanced fans in attendance. The spectacular facility, Kelly. This has been my first trip for a football contest down here at Baylor.
Beautiful.
Stadium opened back in 2014, $266 million price tag. It is sensational. Bears have it, 2nd down and 9 for the senior quarterback Charlie Brewer. Led Baylor to the Sugar Bowl a year ago. Most people, I think, have forgotten about what the Bears did a year ago. Brewer was banged up a little bit in the Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma, and then against Georgia later on, suffering a stinger. But we asked him this week, we said, Charlie, if you had one word to describe yourself, what would it be? And he said, tough. And I didn't say anything for about 10 seconds after that, because I remember what he went through at the end of last season.
We certainly couldn't argue with that. We weren't looking for a different word, because he's exactly right.
3rd and 3, and he kind of said it with an attitude, which we also came away very impressed with. And movement up front's going to back the Bears up 5 yards.
False start. Offense number 79. 5-yard penalty. Results in a first down.
You think about all the comeback wins a year ago for Charlie Brewer. Nearly upset OU twice, overtime, and then the Big 12 championship game. Oh, so close, Kelly.
Yeah, and Larry Fedora told us that first thing he realized about Charlie is he wants the ball in his hands in crunch time. He wants to be the guy that has to make something happen.
4-man front across the middle, looking for the seam contact, and that's going to be pass interference. Trying to cut open was Jared Atkinson, and it was Karan Prunty, the guilty party that time, 9 and white.
Pass interference. defense number 9. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And Prunty is a good-looking corner. He's 6'1", about $190, a true freshman. And Atkinson just tries to get to the post. And as youngsters tend to do, he panicked a little bit. Prunty was in perfect position, just simply reach and knock the ball down without having your left hand on the receiver.
On first down, Lovett gets the call. And a leading ground gainer for the Bears for the last 3 seasons. Tumbles his way ahead to the 45. It'll bring up 2nd and 5. More methodical approach on offense on this possession.
Yeah, and Larry Fedora is known to do that. As a head coach or play caller, he kind of takes the defense's temperature once in a while by making sure they run it in the tackle box. And then they look at that tackle box. Is it an easy box? Is it a heavy box? And it determines what we want to do.
Wildcat set. And Lovett stacked up. Needed 5. He gained about 4.5. It'll bring up 3rd and short.
Larry Fedora told us that his #1 concern coming into this game, not really seeing his guys, are we small enough in our game plan size? They've practiced for 11 weeks. 3 opponents that were supposed to be their opening opponent before tonight left, got wiped out, and so they have a lot of stuff.
Jay Deneen, junior from Lawrence, injured Mike linebacker on the field. With 3rd down coming up in less than a yard, Deneen quickly on his feet, and that's a good sign. Well, injuries have been an issue, especially at the next level, as the NFL has kind of started things up in this pandemic that we're all living in.
Yeah, I think all of those things go together. You know, if athletes that really are kind of thoroughbreds, their training is regimented, as we know, and when that's broken up in some form, starts and stops, and it's not normal. You know, the preparation from the mental things that happen in the game are one thing, but the physical things.
3rd and short. If you're Baylor, what are you calling here?
I think it's giving it to my running back again. Hat on a hat up front, and in this case, John Lovett just simply has to be patient and find a little bit, extend the drive.
Quarterback power off the right side. There goes Brewer. Needed 1. He'll gain 1.5 yards. Dejon Terry got there first, but the drive continues.
Well, you actually asked Larry Fedora about Charlie maybe running the ball more. Charlie told us that. He seemed to allude to it. But in reality, Larry Fedora doesn't want him on designed runs very often. But that was the one caveat. On 3rd and makeable, we need our quarterback to be a viable runner.
It's interesting you bring that up because we conducted all of these meetings via Zoom. You can't do it in person with what we're living with COVID-19. And Fedora's expression when I said that Charlie indicated he may run more was one of a lot of surprise into double coverage. R.J. Sneed, the intended target. It'll be 2nd and 10. I don't think they're going to run Brewer a ton, but where situations on 3rd and short dictate, perhaps we'll see that as Prunty was in coverage.
Yeah, when you said that to Larry Fedora, if we would have been in person and not on Zoom, I think he might have gotten physical with you right there. His quarterback needs to stay healthy.
Former play caller at Florida, head coach at North Carolina, stops at Southern Miss and others along the way. He's happy to be calling plays once again. Pressure, Brewer, the jump pass, incomplete. Holmes, the intended receiver. It'll bring up 3rd down as Brewer hit the deck hard.
And a good job by Kansas on 2nd and long. They just went with cover 3, your typical zone. You have 3 guys deep and you build a lot of structure, and nobody was open, and then that pressure you refer to got to Charlie Brewer right at the end.
He's thrown for over 7,700 yards in his Baylor career. Year number 4. Often unnoticed here in the Big 12. 3rd and 10. Sneed has it. The drive continues. Stopped at the 35. First down for Baylor, and Sneed reeled that one in traffic.
Brewer goes to the right place. Single high safety playing middle of the field, man-to-man underneath. Thornton takes the top off, takes the safety in the middle of the field deep, and then it's the dig route for the conversion.
Diamond backfield now for the Bears as Fedora send the call down. And a nifty move by John Lovett crossing the 35. Short gain on first down, and it really does beg the question, why wasn't Baylor getting more offseason recognition for what happened a year ago? 11 wins, the Sugar Bowl. They were in the playoff conversation.
11 wins, yeah.
In December, for crying out loud, and yet this year not ranked in the top 25 by the Associated Press. And with Charlie Brewer returning,
I'm with you.
It's been kind of crazy.
Brother, you're preaching to the choir. I'm with you.
Charlie said they used that, the chip on the shoulder mentality. Quick toss. Going to bring up third down and about 1.5 yards.
You feel a little more of the rhythm that Larry Fedora wants his offense to have. And you think they're going to get there quickly because of the play caller, Charlie Brewer, in his 31st start in his career here in Waco.
Third and a short 2. Ebner, the stiff arm. Tripped up. He's not going to get there. It'll be fourth down for Baylor as Elijah Jones tripped him up in the last second.
You have to go for it here, I think, if you're Larry Fedora, and probably with a whole lot of speed and not give the defense time to really look at much of anything.
That's exactly what they're going to do. On fourth down, there goes Brewer. Needed to cross the 25, and he did so by about 0.5 yard. The drive continues.
And it was the same thing, same play as on third and short. It's the lead draw with the quarterback, and we see a player down right there.
Brewer.
And Brewer is limping as well.
Well, the safety, Kenny Logan, was banged up, and Brewer is requiring some assistance.
Yeah, and I think that's a bad sign. He hit head-to-head with Kenny Logan, the safety that came up to fill. And that's what we saw out of Charlie Brewer, and this new offense we thought would protect him more.
First down for the Bears. Bigger concerns now for Baylor this time out. Back in Waco, Charlie Brewer requiring a little bit of assistance exiting the field. He's going to be tended to on the sideline, which means Gary Bohannon, winner of the game for the first time in 2020. Kelly Stoffer, Roy Philpott here inside McLean Stadium. Bears driving in a tie game. Ebner off right tackle, a late flag on the field as he picked up 9 yards on first down. Well, not a good sign as Caleb Sampson made the stop.
Holding. Offense number 77. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
And Bohannon had some run last year at times for this very reason, because Charlie Brewer got banged up a lot. And it was more of a pocket passing pro style approach, and the goal was in the spread system, get better protection by defining things for your offensive line and simply not have Brewer taking shots, and he took a shot on that fourth down.
Holding penalty amounts to a 19-yard loss. Bohannon takes off, tripped up, spun around to the 25, and another flag on the field. Davon Ferguson stopped him. Boy, a lot happening here.
And I think it's going to be another holding penalty, maybe Casey Phillips this time.
Holding. Offense number 61. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Khalil Keith, junior out of Alabama.
Well, at least it's equal opportunity holding out there right now for Baylor. 61 Keith, and it's already been 76 Galvin once and Phillips once.
Football moves back to the 40. They'll set up the screen. Josh Fleeks makes a man miss and spun down at the 32.
And I don't think anything changes with Gary Bohannon coming in. He has experience. He runs this type of system really well. I think Larry Fedora is probably very comfortable with him. And as we say that, here comes the tough guy, Charlie Brewer, once again. It's hard to slide as a quarterback on third and short and fourth and short, so I don't blame Brewer for toughing it out.
Ebner joins him in the backfield. Brewer back on the field. Will take off. And on second and long, he scampers for a couple. Sampson got him down.
By the way, that was not the designed run type right there. That was a decision by Brewer. He had a concept of 3 receivers off to the left and nobody was there, and that clock goes off and Brewer wants to make something good happen.
3rd and 15.
A field goal is a good play right here. Throwing the ball away is what will lead you there if you don't have it clean immediately.
The Bears have an outstanding sophomore kicker in John Mayers. Brewer across the middle. Dangerous toss, nearly picked off. Prunty had blanket coverage against R.J. Sneed. Almost halfway quarter.
Your own territory. Charlie Brewer responded when he got down by 7, and now they're up 10-7. So now it's the youngsters' chance to respond in kind.
Making his first career start, he'll pull it out. And the far side scamper, a gain of 3. It'll bring up 3rd down. Well, hit hard that time as Petrie came crashing down with J.T. Woods.
And Robinson was out blocking for Jalen Daniels, and Robinson stays down. And it was a good read by the quarterback Daniels, keeping the ball and going around the left end. But Stephon Robinson, the second leading receiver a year ago, gets caught up in the wash.
That's one way to put it.
Very violent wash.
And in clear pain on the Kansas bench. 3rd and 7 for Kansas, and all of a sudden this becomes an enormous play in this one.
Yeah, look for exotic right here. 2 down linemen and guys coming from different angles.
Daniels driven down right at the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up 4th down. Ashton Logan, the junior from Temple, Texas, with a stop.
And what you'll see out of Baylor defensively, it's that tight front that Aranda has been on the path of perfecting, and he reunites with Ron Roberts, his mentor at Delta State clear back in 2007. And then they have to figure out how to bring their slightly different versions of the tight front together. And what you get is incredibly exotic when the offense is behind the sticks.
So outside of an early scoring possession for the Jayhawks, the Baylor defense standing tall as Ebner waves for the fair catch, and he'll make it at the 32. Bears will have it, leading by 3. Their 2020 opener here at McLean Stadium. Well, make sure you kick off your Week 3 NFL Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, with a countdown crew on ESPN, also the ESPN app, ahead of Monday night's highly anticipated matchup with the Chiefs and the Ravens. Go all access with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Exclusive interview with Russell Wilson. All the breaking stories and big news to get your Week 3 of the National Football League season off and running. Back here in Waco, Texas, Bears lead Kansas 10-7 with Kelly Stoffer, Roy Philpott. Charlie Brewer back on the field, and that pass is dropped. It'll bring up 2nd and 10, trying to spot Tyquan Thornton.
Deuce Mayberry, the true freshman corner, did a great job of coming up and breaking the pocket. That throw was on time, on target.
John Lovett far side, and off right tackle, he'll scamper out, crossing the 35. Drew Prox got there, brings up 3rd down.
I think this is an important down. Really an important time in the game for Kansas defensively. They're only down 10-7, but if Charlie Brewer takes this time off the clock and goes down and gets 7 more, Kansas's offense isn't exactly lighting it up.
Outside of that opening scoring drive, stagnant would be the one word I would use.
That's a good word.
Lovett motions out 5 wide now for Baylor. Man-to-man coverage. Brewer escapes, and there he goes. Charlie Brewer's going to have a 1st down. Ushered out at the 44.
Charlie Brewer, with his experience, just kind of has a feel of how to take advantage. It's man-to-man on the back end. It's a great time to run for a quarterback, even if it's not by design. All of those defenders at the 2nd level are running away with receivers. And the quarterback feels it sometimes more than he sees it, and Brewer takes advantage of it.
Wildcat with Ebner. And after faking the handoff, upended at the 46. Short pickup on 1st down. Kyron Johnson got there first for KU. Now keep in mind, Kansas, off that season opening loss to Coastal Carolina, trailed 28-0 in that game at one point. If you're Les Miles, you got to feel like you're playing with house money so far, but still in search of perhaps a big play on defense.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that was 5 offensive drives in that first half for Kansas, and they turned the ball over 3 times. That's the way you get behind by 28.
Yeah, tip passes, a fumble. Here's Ben Sims, his 2nd reception, close to another 1st down, and they'll move the chains.
So what Larry Fedora wants to do offensively is spread the field and create horizontal seams and vertical seams. And if you get a zone, you set down in those seams like Ben Sims did right there.
Ebner, patient, near side, upended, going out of bounds, and they're going to tack on some penalty yardage as Kenny Logan a bit too aggressive. And you mentioned the rhythm of the Larry Fedora offense. We are feeling that up here in this 2nd quarter tonight.
Yeah, and Larry Fedora is hitching the wagon rhythm-wise to his quarterback. And the veteran Brewer really knows when to make the play that you need to make in order to sustain drives, possess the football, and get that rhythm to some extent.
It's amazing. This offseason, Spencer Rattler, the quarterback at Oklahoma, stealing all the headlines in the Big 12. You got to keep your eye.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal substitution, defense. That foul is declined. After the play was over, personal foul, late hit, out of bounds, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
You keep your eye on number 5 as Les Miles looks on for Baylor in terms of elite quarterbacks in this conference, as you see Logan coming in while Ebner was clearly out.
And Ebner did a great job of bouncing that to the outside with a little bit of shimmy. Patient inside, press the line of scrimmage. He created an angle when you can out leverage the defense to the left, as Ebner did right there.
The fake to Lovett. Brewer to the air. Wide open is Ebner for the easy touchdown. Well, he scored one already on the ground, this time through the air, and the senior from Henderson, Texas. A couple of scores already.
Ebner starts to the flat and then turns it up. The other two receivers to that side are running post routes and clearing it out. And Ebner out of the backfield. A lot of times those guys out of the backfield go to the flat, to the flat, to the flat, and the defense gets used to seeing that. And all of a sudden he goes on a wheel route. The middle's cleared out because of your inside receivers that have gone to the post, and Charlie's going to find them.
Now the difference in this game, one wheel route for Kansas that should have been 6 was dropped. The wheel route for Ebner here was caught.
Perfectly designed, and if I have a guy with 31 starts, all plays like this for touchdowns. Both of those guys do things from the quarterback position that in my day you just didn't dream about doing.
Lamar Jackson is taking over the NFL.
Mahomes' arm slots from his toes clear to his ears.
We're talking about back-to-back MVPs squaring off. Here's Jamal Horn. And dances across the 15. That'll be it. Couple of heavyweights will tangle. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP, the Chiefs, the reigning world champs, and of course Lamar Jackson's probably going to win a title at some point if he stays healthy.
Yeah, and I heard Lamar Jackson say this week, "Oh, this is just any other game. I don't get to defend Patrick on game day, but trust me, those guys know each other really well."
17 unanswered for Baylor after trailing as Kansas scored on its opening possession. If you're Jalen Daniels, first career start, things have kind of bogged down. What are you looking for on this possession? Quick toss and a gain of 5, maybe 6 on first down.
Well, you certainly have enough time to get something done. The question is going to be, how much does Brent Dearman, the offensive coordinator, trust his true freshman in this position? If this is a 3 and out, the byproduct is Charlie Brewer gets the ball again.
And remember, Baylor set to receive the opening kickoff in the second half. Punching through for a big gain and tripped up at the 36. Numeral 0, Velton Gardner.
In a hurry-up situation, when it's short time, you start with the run game. And if you're productive, now you put the pedal to the metal, as Kansas is.
A gain of 18 yards. Here comes the tempo. There goes Gardner and hit quickly after a short gain of 2 up to the 40. Terrell Bernard, Dylan Doyle, the Iowa transfer, brought him down to the turf.
And 3 timeouts and closing in on 3 minutes is plenty of time to try to get something.
Kansas 3-9 a year ago under first-year head coach Les Miles in 2019. Of course, that seems like about a decade ago now. Gardner tripped up trying to get to the edge. He's going to lose a couple. Jalen Petrie, another stop.
And a good job by Baylor maintaining their leverage defensively, and a poor decision by Gardner. This is not a time to bounce it and try to get a big play. What you can't afford is a negative play, as Gardner forces on his team right there.
3rd and 9.
Yeah, now you're 3rd and 9 instead of 3rd and really manageable.
Daniels eludes pressure. Across his body, dangerous toss, incomplete, and it could have been picked off. Well, a lot happening in that sequence. As J.T. Woods, I think, got a mid on it at the last second on the breaking KU receiver.
Well, and Lassiter, number 8, the wide receiver, was running a crossing route, and he was wide open to begin the play. If Daniels just puts it on him, watch right in the middle of the screen. We don't get it in that look, but very athletic by Daniels, but he got greedy. You don't have to throw it past the yard marker. Give it to a guy like Lassiter that can run with it.
Now the Baylor defense will stand after giving up the initial first down. Ebner. Quickly bottled up and hit hard at the 10. That'll be it.
Roy, let's take another look at that third down play. Daniels had Lassiter come in on a crossing route. It was 3rd and 9. Right in the middle of the screen right there. If I put it on the front side of Lassiter, he's running out the other side, and potentially it's a big play, not just a first down. That's something that Daniels obviously is going to have to learn.
Kicking team, more than 4 in the backfield. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick.
What young quarterbacks think they have to do is always throw it beyond the first down, line to gain. That's not true. Give it to a guy like Lassiter that's running out the back door with it. Ball placement, accurate pass, and Kansas's offense is still in the field.
2:02 remaining in our first half here in Waco. Both teams still with all 3 timeouts remaining. Baylor trailed early 7-0. Since then, it's been all Bears in their Big 12 opener and their season opener. All the cancellations and postponements. It's been quite the ordeal here in Waco, as John Lovett is dragged down after picking up 11 yards on first down.
And the same thing with Larry Fedora as he starts his 2-minute offense. A veteran quarterback, which is different than what Kansas was dealing with the true freshman. But started with the run game, and let's see what happens.
Quick toss, and scampering out is R.J. Sneed. Wild day in the Big 12 if you're just tuning in. Oklahoma was upset by Kansas State. We saw Mike Leach on the road in Baton Rouge take care of business by 10 against LSU.
Yeah, all bets are off in this environment that these young people are preparing to play games in.
Old people too.
Yeah, old people as well. You never know what you're going to get out of 18 to 22-year-olds from week to week. Who's going to be available? Who's in COVID protocol of some sort? I just don't want to lose you, so you behave yourself.
On 2nd and 6. Near side give, Lovett plunges ahead to the 35. It'll bring up 3rd and 2. Sam Burke got there along with Kenny Logan, the safety.
So when you have 3 timeouts, you would really probably want to burn one right here in a 3rd down situation, 3rd and short.
Tempo for Brewer. And not communicating with R.J. Sneed. That pass sails out of bounds. It'll bring up 4th down.
Call a timeout and communicate. You have 3 of them. You don't get to put them in your pocket and go into the second half. If you only have 1, that's a little bit different. You have 3. Typically, you use one right there when it's an important down and distance.
They're going for it here on 4th down, this deep in your own territory.
Can't believe it. Going to try to steal one with the veteran quarterback in a hard count.
That's exactly right. And a lot of motion.
He's under the center for one reason, to get closer to the defensive guy and encourage him to jump.
Timeout, Baylor. Their first of the half. 30 seconds in length.
That's what Charlie Brewer does. Efficient, numbers solid. Remember, he left the game for a brief period of time after he was banged up on a 4th down play that he converted on the ground.
What you just said is why he doesn't get the run that Rattler gets, or someone like that in this conference.
Rattler lost today.
Yeah, that's right.
At home. And
nobody's talking about Charlie, who, how many games did Charlie's team win last year? I think 11.
Sugar Bowl
was right there. College football playoff was a gnat's eyelash away.
I mean, they're an overtime away against Oklahoma from knocking on the playoff door. And that's something I think, again, a lot of people forget.
You have a new coaching staff, but a really good coaching staff, and the old coaching staff didn't leave because they couldn't win. They left the cupboard completely full with the right culture, did Matt Rule. Loaded offense, a bunch of newbies on defense.
Here's Isaac Power. Turns it over beautifully. It's Kwame Lassiter. Will make a hesitant fair catch, and let's see if Les Miles wants to get tricky. 1:09 remaining. Timeouts to work with, 3 in fact, and a score before the end of the first half would be significant. And there you see the preseason poll right in the middle of the pack, and I just don't know that I'm buying that.
I'm not buying that. I mean, how many of those guys have veteran quarterbacks? You know, I think the group at the top, it's Lincoln Riley can throw you or I out there right now and be at the top in this conference. And I don't know that I would bet against him, but I'd go with veteran quarterbacks in that group.
Rattler threw 3 picks today on the quick toss and a short gain. He also had 4 touchdowns, and granted, he's just a redshirt freshman. He's got a lot of great football ahead of him. But at the end of the day, Oklahoma lost at home to Kansas State, a team that lost to Arkansas State 2 weeks ago.
And that's how you lose games if you're Oklahoma. Your youngster at quarterback giving the ball to the other guys, and your defense not being able to tackle anybody.
Lawrence Arnold escorted out at the 40 by Kalen Barnes. That'll move the chains.
And you still have 3 timeouts in your pocket. You're getting out of bounds. You're working that well. It's a minute. So now anything that's a positive play, and I think Kansas is going to burn their first timeout right now. I'm not exactly sure why they would do that.
Well, Arnold scampered off the field after making that reception.
We are hearing the whistles this week, though, right? It's been hard to hear those electronic things.
Arnold took a vicious hit there, maybe a stinger in that left shoulder. Boy, the whistle controversy has just been a hot topic of conversation.
We don't need another one.
I wasn't going to bring it up. Movement up front, that'll back up the Jayhawks 5 yards here on the road. This game last year up in Lawrence, 61-6.
Yeah.
False start. Offense number 16. 5-yard penalty. First down.
To Colby Williams. Back him up 5, the Kansas wide receiver. But 61-6 a year ago. A little bit of a different feel in year 2 under Les Miles. And you're looking for just small signs of improvement. That would be a relative large one. Let's see what happens on this possession. Sidearm delivery and nearly picked off. Well, Ashton Logan had a big hit on KU's last possession. Nearly had a pick 6 there.
And Williams, number 16, the wide receiver, was sitting down initially and then moved right when his quarterback was throwing the ball. That's a good way to throw a pick 6, and trust me, I've done that. And then I go to my wide receiver and say, where exactly did you think you were going?
What's the film room like the next day when you have to go back and look at that?
There's some tension. There's some awkwardness.
Pressure. Across the middle. Lassiter has it into plus territory. It'll be first down for Kansas at the 49, and a late flag as well may tack on 15 more. So gain of 17 on the play as we await word. Kevin Marr for the penalty.
Terrell Bernard was the defender back there by the quarterback.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
I believe that was Bernard, right? We haven't heard his name much tonight, but he's a terrific player, playing that weak linebacker position in this system. And number 2, but Bernard was the only Baylor defender that I saw back there.
The alpha male, the leader, according to his coaching staff. Ron Roberts gushing over his star linebacker this week with us. 19 seconds is all it's taken for Kansas to move into scoring position, as the out pattern is incomplete, looking for Parchment.
Yeah, Parchment was running the out, and then Petrie, number 8, from his star safety slash linebacker position, really was getting wide under that out route, and so the quarterback Daniels rightly was a little bit conservative with the throw, and it ended up a little bit wide of Parchment.
Puka Williams has been quiet in the second quarter. He joins Daniels in the backfield on second down. Across the middle, the seam is there. The pass nearly picked off. And a couple of Baylor defenders led by Dylan Doyle had an opportunity for a turnover, Kelly.
Yeah, and Williams, number 16, was running a skinny post right into the opening. If that ball's on the front shoulder, the ball gets to Williams, and he's racing for the end zone. This will be a good look at it right here. Watch here. Just not very good feet. You throw it behind Williams and give the defender a chance. That was a missed opportunity, and there was a lot of that out of the quarterback position in game 1 out of Kansas.
Williams in motion. On 3rd and long. The crosser. Lassiter tackled at the line. Terrell Bernard, you mentioned his name moments ago, his first big play of the night.
Yeah, and he had to chase down a speedster in Lassiter that was on that crossing route. And once again, if you just put it on him out front, Lassiter has a chance to get away from Bernard.
30-second timeout.
What do you think here, partner?
Well, with the timeout, KU with 2 remaining on 4th down, Les Miles, I know what he's doing. He's not going to send the punt team back on the field again. He's going for it.
4th and 11. What kind of a field goal shot we looking at here?
Well, Borchilla's 1 for 2 on the season. Had a 47-yarder against Coastal Carolina 2 weeks ago, so the leg strength is ample. From this spot, it would be right at 50, maybe 51 yards.
I think you have to try to get points on the board here, and it looks like Jalen Daniels is still in the game. If Borchilla can reach it from here, I really like the way 3 points feels going to the locker room.
I do as well. No confidence, perhaps, in the redshirt freshman from Ohio.
If this is 4th and 5 or less, maybe. 4th and 10 plus, I'm not buying it.
Williams in motion, play action for Daniels. Backside pressure. Down he goes, back at the 39. The Bears got there. And Kansas will turn it over on downs to transfer from Arkansas State. William Bradley King with a sack.
I don't think that's a sound decision. Of course, Baylor is going to pressure the freshman. They're going to muddy the look on the back end. Baylor has already felt comfortable with their matchups, man-to-man on the back end against Kansas's receivers, which translates into bringing more guys after your freshmen. And Coach Miles, I love you dearly, but I go ahead and try to have Borchilla try to get me 3 before we go get a drink of water here in a few seconds. Are you with me on that?
Hindsight being 20/20, absolutely I am.
I said it before that play.
Well, I'm especially with you after they didn't convert. Brewer tests the waters here with a tunnel screen. And Ebner will dance his way into plus territory. There's still time remaining. Baylor does have 2 timeouts left. And there is a flag on the field back at the 40, so don't go anywhere just yet. Busy first half for this veteran officiating crew led by Kevin Marr.
Personal foul, blindside block, offense number 79. 15-yard penalty, previous spot. Repeat first down. Clock operator, please put 2 seconds on the game clock.
So Casey Phillips charged with his 2nd infraction tonight, getting the start at right tackle.
And that blindside block was a new rule, I believe, a year ago that I think is a great rule because some of those blindside hits can be absolutely brutal. So in essence, a player that can't defend themselves because they don't see it, at the top of the screen, you can see right at the very top, slightly right-hand corner, Casey Phillips just jackknifes a guy that isn't even in the play. The rule was actually made for plays like that.
Good start for the Bears at home after trailing by a touchdown early. Baylor responds, led by its senior quarterback, Charlie Brewer. (17-7) the score. Brewer throws for 75, rushes for 18 more, and that's enough for the 10-point advantage headed to the locker room. Good start for Dave Aranda in his head coaching debut here in Waco, Texas. Now coming up after the break, college football with Kevin Connors and Jim Mora Jr. Good start for the Bears at home. Their season opener finally here, and it is kicked off. We are underway in Big 12 country. Welcome back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Dr. Pepper, and the start of our second half here in Waco, Texas. Bears leading Kansas 17-7. The head coaching debut of one Dave Aranda. leaving LSU. And if you missed it earlier today, LSU losing its opener to Mike Leach in Mississippi State. KJ Costello threw for 623 yards.
Incredible.
It's
Remember,
an SEC record.
Mike Leach has kind of gone full circle. Remember the basketball on grass Tim Couch and at Kentucky years ago? There he is again, just making people mad from the beginning.
Liam Jones set to kick things away for KU. Search of a little Puka magic perhaps in this second half. Ebner. Looking to get to the edge, and he gets there. There goes Ebner into plus territory. 1 man to beat. How about a Baylor touchdown to open our second half? 100 yards to the house. Trestan Ebner, the senior from Henderson, Texas. Explosive in every sense of the word.
And very well blocked initially. You just try to get a color in front of the opposing color and give guys like Ebner time to turn his speed on, which has to happen in open spaces to some extent. And that's where you see just one of the many areas where Baylor can beat you with a ton of speed.
Mayer's point after is good. And our new score, 16 seconds into the third quarter, 24-7. The Bears getting it done here at home inside McLean Stadium. Now, Ebner, all kinds of speed. It's his 39th career game tonight. One of the more experienced players on the Baylor roster. And you have that kind of experience, it's going to pay dividends. Well, as we take a deep breath, Roy Philpott, Kelly Stopper, and boy, I tell you what, you just don't know what's going to happen in the Big 12 this year.
We talked about Baylor getting the opening kick in the second half, and look what happened. Charlie Brewer didn't even get to touch it, but Kansas has to make some really good things happen, obviously, early right now.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in, Jalen Daniels' first career start for the freshman from California. He was in high school just 109 days ago. Commits to Kansas on signing day after they flipped him from Middle Tennessee. He's got his work cut out for him to start this third quarter.
Yeah, he really does. That's the last thing that Kansas really needed to see happen. But I would expect Jalen Daniels to be a lot more comfortable in the second half. They talk about the growth that quarterbacks have from their first game to their second game and from their first year to their second year. But also from their first half of starting to their second half can pay dividends as well. We'll see right now.
Sedgwick's ensuing kickoff. Horn has it at the 1. Stop at the 23. Jayhawks need points on this drive to try to stay in this one.
So my first question to you is, where was Puka Williams in that first half?
6 touches on the ground. 2 receptions. Was effective when he touched it, but that was really it.
That's what I was going to say. Relatively effective, almost 6 yards per pop in the 6 touches that you referred to, and getting him the ball in the air a couple of times. But I asked Brent Dearman, what is the favorite play of Jalen Daniels? And he said, handing it to number 1, Puka Williams. We need to see more of that if you're a Kansas fan here in the second half.
Williams in motion. It's almost like they heard us on the jet sweep. All Big 12 performer ushered out at the 28, and a flag on the field in the area of holding as Petrie escorted Puka out of bounds. Should mention the atmosphere here tonight at McLean Stadium has been impressive, with limited capacity at about 25%.
Personal foul, blindside block, offense number 2, 15-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Lawrence Arnold, freshman receiver. Good atmosphere tonight. You would agree with that?
Yeah, really. What are they?
Correction.
Were they allowed?
Ball will be placed half the distance to the goal.
Half a distance to the goal is not what you want to hear in your second half of starting as a true freshman, but 25% capacity. And I think these fans in Waco have been waiting to see this Aranda era get started, and they've held up pretty well tonight.
1st and 20. And on the quick screen, bolting ahead, crossing the 20 is Puka. And you love this great tradition here in Waco. The freshmen entering McLean Stadium from the corner and rushing to try to get to their seats for the first game of the year. Boy, that's a sight.
It is a sight. Whole lot of face masks in that group right there.
I think most of those students are socially distanced, aren't they?
I didn't see many, actually.
Masks were on, though. We know that. Good catch, scampering out of bounds for quality pickup. As Kwame Lassiter Jr. reels it in.
And there have been a few times where Jalen Daniels has to rip it from the middle of the field or the far hash to the far side of the field, and you can definitely see that he's not lacking arm talent. Has there been a bigger 3rd and 4 in that young man's life? Right now, to make this a contest, this is an important down right here for Kansas.
6 in the box for the Bears. Williams in motion. They'll roll. Daniels out. Down he goes behind the 20. Terrell Bernard with a sack. And number 2 flexes for the camera.
Bernard, number 2, has a lot to flex. It was a flood route to the left side, and you can see the receiver setting down right there is where the ball is supposed to go from Daniels, but Bernard had other plans. Bernard plays the weak linebacker position in this new scheme that Aranda and Ron Roberts are installing here in Waco, and that dude is going to blow up statistically. Had 112 tackles last season.
Second team all Big 12, perhaps more this season, as Ebner calls for the fair catch at the 39. Bears will take over there, leading Kansas by 17, just underway in Waco. But in case you forgot, it's our job to remind you tonight in just how good this team was a year ago. Still under the radar to start their 2020 campaign. Kelly Stoffer, Roy Philpott. You bring back Charlie Brewer, your top rusher from last year, and John Lovett, Trestan Ebner as well. And then you bring in Dave Aranda. You're already the top school in Texas a year ago. I mean, come on.
You started lamenting this in like the first 2 minutes of this game.
Well, I just don't know that I understand it.
Well, I don't understand it either. That's for sure.
After the short gain, 2nd down give. Make it 3rd down and long.
The interesting thing, Roy, is Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator at Baylor, said that, you know, there are certain reasons for taking a job opening, and the reason matters. And the fact of the matter is they take a job opening where this team not only won 11 games, but Matt Rule built the right culture. There was toughness. There was the ability and the understanding of how to prepare, the willingness to prepare. And they step into that with talent. And they're very excited about that, and they should be.
3rd down and 6. Out of the backfield goes Lovett. Brewer with all kinds of time. And now a patient run to the outside. Off the pump fake, has the 1st down. You know, Ron Roberts told us an interesting story. He said, I accepted the job before Coach Aranda even offered me the position. I really wasn't a great negotiator because we really wanted to get here. As Caleb Sampson,
he needs
it's going to be helped off the field.
A new agent. And Sampson was the defensive end that had contained to that side. And you can see that it's difficult to contain when you don't feel well. And Charlie Brewer got outside because of that. But I think you're exactly right. This program, Matt Rule built it really a little bit differently. It was defensive oriented, which Aranda and Ron Roberts want to do, but it was run oriented, but it was built around toughness. And all the coaches can take that and that foundation and run with it. And that's exactly what Dave Aranda, Ron Roberts, Larry Fedora expect to be doing.
And there's some good yin and yang there between those 3 coaches. Aranda, kind of the Zen master approach.
With the really, really nice beard.
That's correct. Larry Fedora.
Larry Fedora, I'm sorry. Ron Roberts doesn't have a beard, as you can see. Well, you can't see because he has his mask on. But yeah, and the head coaching experience out of Ron Roberts, clear back at Delta State when he hired Aranda to be the D coordinator in 07 for 1 year. And then Larry Fedora has that coaching experience as well, although a lot of it hasn't applied in the COVID environment. But I think Dave Aranda has done a masterful job of creating the right staff, and I think they can hit the ground running here in Waco.
On first down, Brewer off the pump fake. There he goes again, Charlie Brewer. Into Kansas territory. He slides in safely at the 31.
We've said this before, Roy. A great time for a quarterback to run is when the other guys are playing man-to-man defense on the back end. And the reason for that is, remember, if I have 4 or 5 receivers deployed, a lot of times it's like parting the Red Sea right there. And the veteran Brewer is going to understand that.
After a gain of 16, John Lovett, the jump cut, and tackled after a gain of 2. Elijah Jones with the stop, number 4 in white.
We talked about Larry Fedora's kind of yo-yo tempo. You can go fast or you can go slow, and there's a little bit of the air being taken out of it right now as far as I can feel.
I would agree with that. The only thing Baylor has not done on offense tonight is get the ball to number 9, Tyquan Thornton, who had an amazing preseason camp. And with Denzel Mims now playing for the New York Jets, you figure he would be involved at some point a little bit more. We'll send him on a fly pattern here. That opens up the middle for Gavin Holmes, who dropped it.
Charlie Brewer will blame himself because the ball was placed behind Holmes, but that's a catchable ball, certainly. The slot to the left side comes into just a void, dropped coverage. You can see the linebacker that's coming back for the ball just simply went with the action to the other side of the field, but Holmes should have had that, and quite frankly, Charlie Brewer should have thrown a better ball.
Under 10 to play in the 3rd quarter here in Waco. Beautiful night for college football. The Big 12 is back, and it is upside down in 2020. On the crosser, R.J. Sneed, another first down for Baylor, and a punishing finish for numeral 0. Bears looking crisp on this possession, Kelly.
And once again, the beauty of having a veteran quarterback, that the first thing that Larry Fedora said about his quarterback is he knows where to go with the football. Where I go with the football is a crosser that has nobody covering him, and we can convert in the red zone.
4th catch for Sneed on first down. John Lovett, the spin. Well, he pressed the X button that time. That's close to another first down for Baylor. Ricky Thomas brought him down.
And now as you're pressing in on the deep in the red zone, you're seeing a little bit more tempo, and Lovett has a little bit of that in him. He's a one-cut speed back is the way his quarterback Charlie Brewer described him, and he forgot to say he has a really sweet spin move.
Lovett to the edge, to the pylon. Touchdown Baylor. John Lovett, the senior from Jersey. 39th career start tonight from 7 yards out, reaches pay dirt. It's all Baylor to open their season.
Yeah, and a little bit of tempo to go with it, and then the running game, and Baylor's experienced offensive line is taking over. There's the one-cut speed dimension that Charlie Brewer told us about pertaining to John Lovett. You press the line of scrimmage, one cut is outside, and then it's the speed to get to the end zone.
61 yards in 9 plays for a very efficient outing for this Baylor offensive attack. Mayer's extra point on the way. And a good start to his sophomore campaign. 31 unanswered now for Baylor here at home. Touchdown for John Lovett, and the Bears are rolling. It's all Bears back in Waco, 31-7. You know, we asked Dave Aranda earlier this week, when did you know that you were a little bit different and maybe not the aggressive, screaming type of coach we're used to? And he said, you know, Roy, that's kind of a good question, because I go back to when I was growing up and I watched Die Hard. And I looked at Bruce Willis and I pointed to the movie screen and I said, I'm not him.
I'm not that guy.
I'm not Bruce Willis. I said, Coach, you're definitely not Bruce Willis.
Are you Bruce Willis?
I am not, but I'm more Bruce than Dave Aranda is.
You're exactly right, and if you weren't going there, I was going to go there. And the fact of the matter is, Dave Aranda is just of a different temperament than he believes a lot of head coaches are. So he was a little bit I think, resistant to the position, but I think he's going to be absolutely brilliant as a head coach.
And Les Miles said as much this week. As KU will take over at its 25-yard line on the touchback. 9:07 to go here in our third quarter. Kelly Stauffer, Roy Philpott. Inside McLean Stadium, the head coaching debut of one Dave Aranda.
Pretty good so far.
I mean, he even has that kind of steadying influence on a Zoom call where there's just a patience about him that you and I just don't have.
Well, I have it more than you have it, but he's like the Jedi. You know what I mean? He just kind of, there's a mesmerizing effect that he has on you when he's talking.
I don't know, I'm more Star Trek than Star Wars, but that's another story for another day. As Puka Williams will take on a Baylor defender and sent out hard short of the 30. Kalen Barnes credited with a stop. I've never heard that line before, though. I saw Bruce Willis and I recognized that's not me.
See, the difference is you've never heard it because you were screaming at the television saying, that is me. And I could do everything that Bruce Willis is doing. That's the difference between you and Dave Aranda in a nutshell.
And for the record, too, Die Hard is a Christmas movie for those debating later this year. On second down, the swing pass is there. And a nifty move by Colby Williams. Pick up the first down.
The question I have going forward for Kansas on the offensive side of the ball in particular, it would seem to me that the page has been turned to Jalen Daniels. He's the first quarterback recruited by offensive coordinator Britt Dearman. So I think that's where they're going. But where do the big plays come from? And if you don't have explosives, you better be really efficient at driving the football to get points.
Daniels off the back foot, a wobbler. Parchment, the intended receiver, as Bradley King was bringing the heat.
And that's what affected the errant throw. It's hard to set your feet when Bradley King is bearing down on you and you're throwing a short out route and that guy literally changes the throw.
And for Les Miles, certainly not the outcome you want to see this evening, but they're also looking at this roster. They're recruiting high school players, not really going the junior college route. As Puka Williams sandwiched between a couple of defenders, stopped at the 40, and checked out it was Velton Gardner. But he's using this year, Les Miles is, the Mad Hatter himself, to get more experience for guys like Jalen Daniels. And think about it, you're not going to lose a year of eligibility with the rules instituted in 2020. So in theory, he can come back and be a freshman all over again next year.
I think it's a no-brainer, honestly. And I don't know that the people listening really understand that this year is a freebie. And so really you can play an entire season, how many ever games that all of us get in, and it doesn't cost you a thing. What a great time to play a true freshman as quarterback.
That certainly has to be part of the thinking, as KU will be backed up 5 yards.
No doubt.
False start. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
And it's, you know, it's a bummer for Miles Kendrick, who's a junior, and Thomas McVitie, who were the quarterbacks that played most of the game against Coastal Carolina in week 1. Because it might be a really quick turning of the page to a true freshman that can be here forever and a day if this year doesn't count.
Out of the gun once again, Daniels flings it. Parchment has it. And 4-5 Baylor Bear defenders wrestle him down quickly. Terrell Bernard led the charge. Fourth down coming up for the Jayhawks.
And you just took the words out of my mouth. How many Baylor Bear defenders rallied to the ball? And that's what you're going to see out of Baylor. You know, Matt Rule was based on defense as well, but it was a different approach defensively. And now it's this tight front. It's getting guys in the right places. It's defensive linemen down, kind of blocking 5 offensive linemen, and then it's effort to the football and toughness. And you saw it on that last third down.
Thompson had to go low to field the snap as Ebner waves for the fair catch. Good start for the Bears in the second half. An offensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown. 31-7 with 6:07 remaining in the third. Well, as we take a look at this week's college football playoff rankings brought to you by PlayStation 5, the upsets stand out, and this is why we love college football, as Oklahoma loses at home to K-State. And LSU, the defending national champions, Mike Leach's debut for Mississippi State, and he comes up as a 10-point winner. Back to live action here in Waco with Kelly Stoffer, Roy Philpott, all Bears in the Big 12 opener for both sides. Game number 2 for Kansas. Jayhawks scored first. Since then, it has been all Charlie Brewer, Dave Aranda, and the Baylor Bears. And an injured offensive lineman on the turf here at McLean Stadium. That's Casey Phillips, who got the start tonight at right tackle. Don't know that we've seen a transfer from UCLA, Jake Burton, all that much tonight. He was expected to solidify things on the right side of the line.
And that offensive line is an area that needed to get better. 38 sacks a year ago to a team that won 11 games and went to the Sugar Bowl and were a hiccup away from potentially a college football playoff. So improvement up front is really the only thing that has to be solidified. I think the playmakers are there. You have a veteran calling the plays at the line of scrimmage. I think you have a system in Larry Fedora where I think Charlie Brewer is going to be the biggest beneficiary of this system. More like his Lake Travis-ish type of style. An offensive line needs to get better.
After Phillips was helped off the field, Brewer fires that pass. I believe it was caught around the 29. And it was. So Atkinson makes the grab.
That's an incredible catch. I think he might have had both feet in bounds, to be honest with you. It's certainly a clear catch. You have to get something down in bounds other than your hand, and that left foot was it.
On third down, the swing pass bottled up in a dangerous toss as Kansas will force a 3 and out. Davon Ferguson, Elijah Jones got there. No clock winding down here in the third. Good stop for the Kansas defense. By the way, next week Baylor on the road at West Virginia, as Neil Brown and the Mountaineers upended in Stillwater earlier today.
Well, the boys in Stillwater had a bad attitude today. Their outing against Tulsa was not so good.
I think that was the consensus. I remember watching Game Day this morning. The Bear was talking about it. Kirk Herbstreit mentioned it a couple of times. Slow start means everybody kind of gets things together week 2. Tulsa was competitive. Different story today in a 2-touchdown win against West Virginia. Well, don't forget about Game 6, Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics and Heat tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. The NBA Countdown gets our coverage started at 6:30 on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Miami now leads the series against the Fighting Brad Stevens 3-2.
And if it wasn't for that second half last night where the Celtics came alive, it might have been door closed.
I like Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown getting the job done. Jalen Daniels back on the field for Kansas as Puka Williams spins his way to the 35 and a short gain on first down.
Speaking of getting the job done, at down 31-7, and you have a freshman quarterback, the question is, how do we get him some meaningful reps and grow his confidence? Well, the first thing to do is have some positive plays and possess the football. This is a good start right here.
You see the speed of Williams. He's going to lose 2 yards there. Back to the original line of scrimmage. Jared McVay with a tackle.
I think going forward, it certainly needs to be a combination of Puka Williams and Jalen Daniels needs to simply run the ball more. I think that was a key read right there. And I think because Puka Williams had to bounce, it was evidence that you should have actually kept the ball as the quarterback on the zone read and gone outside.
8 carries for Daniels tonight. Negative 10 yards as the sacks have started to mount up. They lose a couple of more here. TJ Franklin. But Baylor's defense, you knew Dave Aranda, Ron Roberts coming to town, that they were going to be rock solid despite losing 9 starters from last year. But I think it's been a little better than advertised so far.
And that was a good look at how fundamentally sound Dave Aranda's defense will be, and certainly under the guidance of his own mentor, Ron Roberts. You saw TJ Franklin from his defensive end position understand where the defense was vulnerable. Man-to-man on the back end, and he couldn't let the quarterback Daniels get down the middle of the field.
Down the punt at the 35. 24-point lead for the Bears. 2:33 remaining in our third quarter. Season opener, Baylor was supposed to start the year way back in early September against Ole Miss in Houston. That game obviously got canceled when the SEC moved to a conference-only schedule. Then it was Louisiana Tech. Then it was Houston. And then now tonight officially the Dave Aranda era underway. 4th supposed season opener, but the first official one, obviously. And it was worth the wait.
It really was. I think certainly a fitting debut for a coach that I think is going to be a tremendous head coach as time goes on.
Brewer. Snead has it. And a gain of 13, a first down. R.J. Snead has been a popular man tonight, his 5th reception.
And Snead getting into the middle of the field is something that Kansas offensively hasn't been able to do consistently well.
Off left tackle. Gain of 2 on first down. Nate Betts the stop.
Kansas plays a lot of quarters coverage on the back end, which simply turns into man-to-man when the secondary understands the release of the receivers, and then it's a 3D match underneath type of system as well, and there's an opening in the middle at times.
Lovett spun down awkwardly, tackled by shoestrings. Jay Deneen.
That's where you get a glimpse of, I think, how the Baylor offensive line needs to be the area on this offense that has to get better. You can't have a negative run on second when you're trying to get manageable third. And sometimes they just don't know their landmarks. They don't know who to get, how to get them type of thing. And you see it on that play.
3rd down and 10. Approaching a minute to go in the 3rd. As Brewer will empty the backfield. Plenty of time on the crosser. Ebner. Boy, he's been a big play machine tonight, all the way down to the red zone for Baylor.
And that's the formationing that Larry Fedora is known for. Ebner starts in the running back position, goes out as a 5th wide receiver. He already took a kickoff to the house, comes on the crosser against man-to-man, and nobody can keep up with it.
An impressive performance for number 1. Gavin Holmes. Pick up a yard, tackled by Ferguson for Kansas. What could be the final play of our 3rd quarter, one that has been dominated by the home team. And there goes the yo-yo tempo you spoke about with a Larry Fedora coached offense. Ebner with a lane. And through the crease, he'll pick up a yard and not much more. That should be the final play of the 3rd. Gavin Potter the stop. And an injured Jayhawk on the field. So 3 seconds remaining on what's been another wild weekend in college football. Upsets in the Big 12 with Oklahoma going down at home today to Kansas State. As Davon Ferguson is helped up. We already mentioned it. 623 passing yards for KJ Costello, an SEC record. And a road win in Baton Rouge against the defending national champion LSU Tigers.
There's some defensive coordinators in the SEC right now just wondering where we go from here, having to think about the pirate of What is he the pirate of now? Not the Palouse anymore. The pirate of Starksville doesn't really work for anybody. We go there next week. What are we going to call him?
I don't know, but maybe he'll have a nickname for us.
That's the end of the third quarter.
Stark Vegas is always an exciting place to be, and especially when Mississippi State is ranked, and they will be after upsetting number 6 LSU. Good start for the Bears. Dave Aranda, his head coaching debut has been impressive, as has Trestan Ebner. Couple of touchdowns as Baylor is rolling here at McLean Stadium. Back in Waco, you're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. McLean Stadium. Home opener, season opener for the Baylor Bears. Fresh off an 11-win campaign a year ago. And a good start here in 2020, leading KU 31-7. Kelly Stopper, Roy Philpott, as we take a look at our Fansville College football update. We mentioned it earlier. A big afternoon for KJ Costello, transferring in from Stanford. Mississippi State upsets LSU. And in the Big 12, K-State beats Oklahoma for the 2nd consecutive year. This time it goes down in Norman as Skylar Thompson was electric. First play of the 4th quarter, and there could be a turnover. A fumble. It's somehow recovered by Ebner. Check that, John Lovett on the recovery. And a lot happening as he'll be tackled all the way back at the 36.
A lot happening is exactly the way to describe that play. Kenny Logan Jr. came off the edge, and Brewer didn't feel him, knocked the ball to the ground. Then it turned into a soccer match for a minute. And then the running back, John Levitt, ended up with it.
It is a nice combination in the Baylor backfield with 7 and 1. John Lovett, Trestan Ebner. And by the way, Ebner tonight, touchdown through the air, touchdown on the ground, 1 on special teams with a kick return. He has been electric. Charlie Brewer's been efficient despite that last sequence.
So there seems to be a little confusion, all that minutia on that last play. Who has the ball and what down and distance is it? 4th and over by the Brazos River somewhere. And I think Baylor can't quite decide exactly what they want to do. They're in no man's land when it's all said and done.
I may send John Mayers out there to try to kick along when he hit one from 51 a year ago.
Kicking team.
Shows you what I know.
Decline. Let's go 4th down.
I think you had the right idea. Why weren't we trying to crush one from there, field goal wise? But we take the delay of game and back up and try to hit a sand wedge that backs up somewhere. The goal is inside the 10. It'd be preferable if it was inside the 5.
Isaac Power fields the high snap. As Lassiter, watch it bounce right past his face mask. Well, I don't know if that was a sand wedge, but it works. Short kick, nice roll. Baylor in control. What a week 3 Monday Night Football matchup this. Shaping up to be Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, 2-0 versus 2-0. Let's go. Monday night, ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Monday night, 8 o'clock. It all gets started with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Back-to-back MVPs in action with Mahomes and Jackson.
Yeah, must-see television if you like quarterback play.
I do.
Who you got?
I got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I do too. I just have a hard time betting against the defending champions, and that guy's arm talent is on a different planet.
I don't even think he's played up to his standard in the first 2 wins for the Chiefs. And it doesn't matter, he's still electric as Mac Jones makes the tackle on a short game.
And we see the education of Jalen Daniels continuing with a backed up situation. How do you execute this? The minimum standard is to get 1 first down and not have our punter standing on the end line when he has to punt. And then if you get 1 first down and no big mistakes, then you want to march the football, obviously, and get points.
Daniels 7 yards deep in his own end zone, and he's going to be sacked, and that'll be 2 points for the Bears. Terrell Bernard, number 2, puts up 2 more for Baylor, and another sack, his second of the night as well.
We talked about the education of Daniels. You obviously have to have a quicker clock when you're in your own end zone, and a guy named Terrell Bernard is getting after you. You can't block Bernard with a running back. Gardner gets shoved to the ground, and Bernard had 4.5 sacks a year ago, 112 tackles, had moved from the outside to middle linebacker. He's back to the outside in this new scheme, and he's out there because it's the playmaking position on the weak side linebacking position in this tight front scheme that Ron Roberts is going to run for Dave Aranda. And I can't imagine the stat line that Bernard is going to have doing those type of things over the course of an entire conference schedule.
He's already earned his undergraduate degree in kinesiology. He is lock-loaded, ready to go. Deuces wild on that play for Terrell Bernard, one of the top linebackers in the Big 12. And I know it's just Kansas, and the Jayhawks weren't expected to be great this year, but certainly Baylor sending a message tonight. A first-year head coach. They'll be on the road next week at West Virginia. That they're going to be a team to be reckoned with once again in this league.
I couldn't agree more. And I know it's just Kansas, but Kansas has already played a game, and Baylor has had 3 other opening opponents go away because of various and sundry delays due to the global pandemic. And you knew you were going to have some nuances that weren't in mid-season form, but that actually kind of solved itself for Baylor in the first half by and large.
So the safety kickoff from your own 20. Team that scores at 2 points gets it right back, and there goes Ebner. Trestan Ebner in a foot race. Can he do it again? Yes, he can. His second kickoff return for a touchdown tonight, his 4th overall. Number 1 is on fire. That one from 82 yards out, Kelly.
Another exhibit of why Baylor needs to be reckoned with. They won 11 games a year ago, and they have speed like Ebner in a lot of different places. 34 had Nate Betts had an angle on Ebner, and it was dissolved quickly because of just track speed that they throw out there in bunches, does Baylor.
12:35 to go in Waco. Baylor pouring it on against Kansas, 40-7. 4 touchdowns on the board for Trestan Ebner. He's been electric. I think it's safe to say you can take your special teams player of the week ballot and kind of put it to the side and go ahead and recognize that Trestan Ebner is going to claim those honors this week with 2 kick returns for a touchdown already tonight. Former ESPN 300 member as a top recruit signed by the Baylor Bears. Give him a helmet sticker.
Yeah.
I mean, do whatever you want to do, but Trestan Ebner, he deserves it tonight. You got to work on the hammy a little bit on the side after a night like tonight. Trestan Ebner sending a resounding message to the rest of the Big 12 with this performance. He scored 5 touchdowns all of last year, 4 on the board this evening. Horn to the near side, escorted out short of the 35. It's time now for our AT&T 5G best moment from tonight. Kelly, what is your best moment?
Well, I think it involves Trestan Ebner a couple of different times. Getting through traffic, and then it literally is just a foot race. And Ebner is one of the guys on Baylor that would be likely to win most of those races. And then you see it again right here. if you can give track speed the opportunity to get out where there's green grasses, they start to dissolve angles, and you saw it on both of those returns.
It's funny, we asked Larry Fedora this week, what was the biggest surprise you saw in camp? And he said, that's actually a good question. And really, it came down to the two running backs. I didn't know how explosive they really were, meaning Trestan Ebner and John Lovett, and watching them and how they understood the concepts of our offense, not to mention their speed. And in Lovett's case, perhaps he's a bigger back with more power, because we got a couple of weapons back there. I think we've seen that tonight. After a gain of 2, Daniels has that pass tip and batted down by Jackson Shupp.
Yeah, Larry Fedora didn't waste much time and say, you said it, you know, talking about how camp has gone, which essentially has been about 11 weeks worth for Baylor with all the delays. And without hesitation, he said the most impressive group was the running back group. And they complement each other. Lovett is the one-cut speed back that's a little more powerful, and Ebner has a little shimmy. They can motion him out, and then it's speed to burn.
Daniels will be stopped short by about half a yard on 3rd and 8. That'll bring up 4th down. Well, if you're just tuning in, Kansas scored on its opening possession. Since then, Baylor 40 unanswered.
Les Miles going to go ahead and go for it on 4th and about 1.5 foot, and give his Kansas offense that struggled under the leadership of a new quarterback in Jalen Daniels, the true freshman.
He's going to throw it. TK Williams has it. Tough collision, but he'll pick up the 1st down. TK to Colby Williams, junior out of New Orleans. Kansas will get Oklahoma State in Lawrence. Kickstart October. There goes Puka. A gain of 8 for Puka Williams. Petrie the stop. Here comes tempo for the Jayhawks. Well, if you're Kansas, you certainly want to close this game down strong. You should get ready for the Cowboys next weekend. You know, Coach Gundy's watching. Already working on his offensive game plan. Williams sandwich. He'll pick up a yard. It'll bring up 3rd and 1. Cowboys impressive in week 2 in their win against West Virginia. Speaking of the Mountaineers, after a bye week, Kansas goes to Morgantown. Big 12 playing a +1 model this year. 9 conference games and 1 out-of-conference foe. Really, if you think about it, Bob Bowlesby electing to play football way back in early August may have saved the season for everybody, when it seemed like the Big Ten and the Pac-12 were going to end things before they got started. Felton Gardner tiptoeing, and he stepped out short of the 30. Bob Bowlesby, the commissioner, and boy, we've been through so many ups and downs, trials and tribulations through this pandemic. That even seems like it was 5 years ago when it happened.
It's amazing. Seems like we've been following the protocol forever. But they found a way to play college football, and they seem to be doing it successfully, and that doesn't mean without hiccups along the way.
Daniels, a rifle shot to Parchment, couldn't reel it in. Yeah, a lot of people focusing in on the cancellations and the postponements, but if you think back, July and August, everybody that covers the sport, you talk to the coaches and commissioners, they all said, hey, this is going to be a bumpy ride. It's not going to be smooth sailing. And that's what it's been.
Yeah. And, you know, find a way, as everyone wanted, to keep the players and coaches and their staff safe. But when there is a dark moment on the horizon, you got to work through it.
Williams explosive on that cut.
You know, when we got past that point where we would see an outbreak, a spike of some kind, and we're all going to hiding again. When we got past that mentality and realized there's a way through to the other side, and players can be safe, and in many cases, Les Miles would say they're safer in the football environment than anywhere else. He's had players opt out, and in his opinion, he said, if you opt out of playing football, you're literally opting into the pandemic. So that's one view on it.
Quick toss and a first down for KU and head coach Les Miles. 9 conference games for the Big 12, the 1 non-conference tilt we talked about. You're going to have the top 2 teams advance to the conference championship. The Big 12 championship game is going to be played in Arlington, as the Jayhawks will be backed up 5 yards.
And even that championship game, it's on December 12th, but can be moved a week. There's a week of play in there as well. I think very well done.
Offense number 71, 5-yard penalty, first down.
It makes sense to move it back to December 19th. I think the ACC is going to have to do that given the cancellation or postponement. The Wake Forest Notre Dame game this weekend, they pushed that back to December 12th, and so would be shocked at all if the majority of the Power 5 leagues end up playing their respective championship games that weekend before Christmas. But the point is, we're playing and we're figuring out how to coexist with the virus and what has been just an undescribable year. Utley, the tackle, will check the flag.
Holding. Offense number 71. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
It was Jacoby Lott.
Jacoby Lott was the left guard. Number 71 gets called for the holding, but as Jalen Daniels' play action pass was going to try to get out to his right side, and there was a corner blitz off that short corner that prevented the quarterback from doing that. When he started back up inside, that's when the holding came out of his left guard.
Lassiter crossed the 20 and jumped back to pick up a couple of extra yards. Kwame Lassiter, the second son of the late Kwame Lassiter, who passed away last January. His 5 brothers, 2 sisters. A senior from Chandler, Arizona. 2nd and 6. I mean, the crazy nature of the Big 12 this year is Puka Williams to the end zone has a touchdown. Never know what to expect, but Puka Williams, we do know what he brings to the table. Electricity, speed, and that touchdown from 18 yards out.
And that was a good picture of what Kansas fans hope their offense looks like. Give it to number 1 a lot, and then you can see the patience, the good feet, the vision, the speed to get to what he's seeing. And it was off a quarterback read because Jalen Daniels is a viable option to keep the football and run. And there was rhythm on that drive because they were on the field to find that rhythm.
66 yards in 12 plays. Puka Williams. First touchdown of the season. 40-14, still all Baylor.
ESPN College Football is presented by Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Kansas Comet, one of the all-time greats, Gale Sayers. All-American back in the early 1960s, really 5 seasons with the Bears, played 7 overall, but healthy for 5, and one of the most beautiful runners the sport of football has ever seen.
Graceful, no doubt about it. That's the word I would put to it. And we certainly lost a special one, and we could all learn a lesson too. You know, turn on Brian's song and that interrelational relationship between Sayers and Brian Piccolo, and so many things that Gale Sayers taught us. A man of grace, no doubt.
Passed away earlier this week, 77 years. Lovett will field it inside the 20. Kansas Comet, one of the all-time greats.
The youngest elected to the National Football Hall of Fame. I think he had like 68 games, something like that. But man, special special runner with the football.
Charlie Brewer's night appears to be done. Gary Bohannon back on the field, a sophomore from Arkansas, and he's going to split wide. So the Bears go Wildcat because, of course, they will. And on the jet sweep action, Josh Fleeks tackled for a loss. Gavin Potter got there first.
Summarize Charlie Brewer's night for me.
Efficient. You know, I read some articles leading up to this game, and there were headlines that suggested that his play at times can be considered boring. And in a sense, I would argue that that's actually a weird compliment because of his efficiency.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. He is efficient. Sometimes it's not that exciting, but he does so many things consistently right for this offense. The thing I'm going to be interested to see going forward, Larry Fedora answered your question about Charlie running the ball. Well, no, not really. Maybe on third down situations where there might be some design or short yardage, and we saw that twice tonight. He got wrecked on the second one, which is the 4th and 1, and didn't feel so good after that hit. Larry Fedora might even redo that part of the offense going forward.
10-yard gain by Craig Williams, who just checked in. And Bohannon searching for yardage, has a first down, absorbs a massive shot ahead at the 49 by Stephen Parker. That one's going to leave a mark.
Well, who are you taking in this conference in the Big 12 if you're not taking Charlie?
Well, Texas, Sam Ellinger, kind of what he brought to the table. They won in overtime in Lubbock today. I mean, certainly he's part of it. Spencer Rattler, we know he's going to put up phenomenal numbers now. He had 4 touchdown passes and 3 picks today. So you don't like that if you're a fan of Boomer Sooner. But this guy just quietly gets the job done. He's tough. He's experienced.
Skylar Thompson, Kansas State, is a similar dude. You know what I mean? He's been there for a long time and is pretty steady. But quarterbacks don't necessarily like those descriptions.
Well, what do you make of K-State? You lose at home to Arkansas State, then you go on the road and you win your Big 12 opener against Oklahoma. I mean, Chris Kleiman's done a great job. We had them in the Liberty Bowl last year.
Timeout. Kansas, they're first to the half.
They're a team that's going to have to be reckoned with in this conference, despite the fact they're 1-1. 5 to play. Timeout on the field as we step aside in Waco. Played in the classic city of Athens, and what a scene it will be. Kelly Stopper, Roy Philpott back to wrap things up here in Waco. Craig Williams right side, little shake and bake, crossing the 30, and a nice gain. Under 5 to play.
So let's get back to the quarterback talk, talking about Charlie Brewer. If we're in this conference and you get to draft a quarterback out of this conference to run your program, who you got?
Boy, that's tough. And I like you putting me on the spot because the easy answer would be Spencer Rattler because of where he plays. But the correct answer, given what we know and what we've seen, I think is number 5.
You have Ellinger at Texas, obviously. You have Purdy at Iowa State.
Oh, I do like Brock Purdy. I forgot about him.
You have a bro crush on Purdy, so we forgot about that one. But it's really, I think you could pick any 3 of those guys, setting Rattler aside because he's a newbie, even though he plays in a system where he's going to blow it up every week.
Timeout. Kansas.
I think those 3 guys are a toss-up.
Iowa State a big win at TCU earlier today, and Iowa State typically gets off to slow starts. You look at some of the metrics, Brewer's right up there with just about anybody. Well, big games coming up in the heart of the Big 12 for the Baylor Bears. West Virginia on the slate next weekend. A road trip to Morgantown after this resounding win against KU. Oklahoma State back here in Waco 2 weeks after that. And then at the end of the season, that showdown looming once again, this one in Norman against Oklahoma. Kelly Stopper, Roy Philpott. Big win tonight for the Bears. Craig Williams off to the races. To the pylon, that's a touchdown. And that one from 26 yards out.
You talk about more speed. It's the kick out block, zone slice. It starts to the left. That moving H-back kicks out the backside in case Williams wants to get there. And how about speed once again? It's everywhere out there on Baylor's side of the football.
Icing on the cake tonight for the Bears. Mayer's on for the point after. I want to revisit that conversation too, because after thinking about it during the break.
Hey, let me interrupt you. By the way, if you have a problem with what I said, you need to tweet Roy at whatever Roy's Twitter handle is.
At Roy Philpott.
I don't have one.
Nice run by Williams to reach the end zone, but I'm going to go with this. The meat and potatoes of the Big 12 this year. Charlie Brewer, Brock Purdy, Sam Ehlinger.
Yep.
You can't go wrong with any of those three signal callers. You know, Spencer Rattler's going to be there. He's a freshman, the 3 picks today and a home upset loss to K-State. The numbers are going to be there.
Yeah. Sanders at Oklahoma State.
Yep.
He's more veteran. He will turn and hand the ball to Hubbard, and that's not a bad plan.
There's
But
good quarterbacks.
The knock on Charlie Brewer, I think one of them is, what did he do last year with 11 wins? Well, he had the best defense statistically in the conference in many of the categories. 46 sacks Baylor defense had. A lot of opportunities to get the football. Points allowed, they were #1 in their conference, top 20 in all the land. And so that's one knock, but that's how football works. Now it flips to the offensive side initially, and you have veterans, chief among them being Charlie Brewer, and a defense that's only, I guarantee you, going to get better as time goes on.
There's Horn with a crease. Brought down hard at the 25. Don't forget Game 6, Eastern Conference Finals. It's tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. Celtics and Heat. Miami now leads the series 3-2. The winner, I believe, is going to face the Lakers in the NBA Finals, and they still have to close out Denver. We'll see if that happens, but the Celtics and Heat, what a great job Eric Spoelstra's done. And Jimmy Butler, all of a sudden this guy's a superstar.
Don't bet against him.
He's fun to watch.
He's got to prove he can close it, though, right? I mean, he's got to prove that he can close it in a situation like this.
Tyler Hero has been a hero at times as well. How many times have we heard that?
A few.
Gardner sent out at the 30.
I don't think you'd ever officially answered my question, though.
Which
you
was?
You could draft one. Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Purdy. I'm going to go with Purdy.
Okay.
Yeah. Iowa State gets off to slow start sometimes. We saw that upset against Louisiana, but they get better as the year goes on. I think Brock Purdy's going to play in the NFL. So a slight lean, a slight lean.
You know what I do? You had the first pick and you take Purdy. I trade out of the second position and pick up a draft pick because I could take either one of the other guys, Ehlinger or Brewer, and be perfectly happy.
Yeah, Ehlinger and Brewer both from Austin, Texas. Of course you would. You're the Bill Belichick of broadcasting. That's what Bill does. Is TK Williams was the intended receiver.
I just put some draft points in my pocket, and then I can probably get like a 5th round defensive end that blows up and becomes a good player.
I don't know. Maybe you can trade back up and draft Dave Aranda to build your program, right?
Now we're getting a little complicated.
You talked to Les Miles about Aranda and when he hired him at LSU back in 2016, and he mentioned his demeanor, but he also said tactically he really is the best there is. And think about that for a second, for a coach that won a national championship at LSU, that played college football at Michigan, got his coaching career started there, moved to Oklahoma State.
Kansas has used the 3rd and final timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
And now here in Kansas, I mean, not to mention the fact Dave Aranda won a national championship last year. And you saw what he meant to that LSU defense, obviously, by what we saw today. And they've lost a lot of players, too, of course. But
only about 15.
Yeah.
Only about 15.
Coach O was saying today he wanted to bring some guys back that opted out, and that they have a an open door policy. You just come right back into the program.
Are any of
if you
them
want.
accepting the opportunity?
I don't think so.
Yeah. But Dave Aranda is a smart guy. You obviously have been around him. You know that. You can talk with him for just a bit, and you get that. A great opportunity here in Waco because of what Matt Rule did and the way that Matt Rule built his program. There's some similar qualities in terms of what they want in a program, and if you can take your first head coaching job and those things are already established as the culture, you have a leg up on things.
Daniels chased out of bounds on 3rd and 5. We asked Dave Aranda this week about his philosophies. He said it's better person first, then player. Think about that for a second.
Yeah. Say that again to me. I might need to hear that.
Better person first, then player.
Yeah. And he said that the COVID pandemic situation,
the pocket, the ball made it beyond the line of scrimmage. There is no foul.
Has really forced them to do a better job of that because they haven't been able to get their hands on the players and coach them as players. They've had to deal with relationship first. And I think Aranda, that's to me where he's going to shine, is building relationship first with the person and then turn them into the players that you need and that you want and that they can be.
It was a missile fired that time by Jalen Daniels to Kwame Lassiter II.
If you go in the locker room and talk to Jalen Daniels after this game, what do you want Brent Dearman to actually tell his young QB?
You know, 17 of 29 passing, 150 yards. Looked great on that first possession. And then afterwards, the offense kind of bogged down. And, you know, he was off target a couple of times tonight. You know, Puka Williams hasn't touched it perhaps as many times as we anticipated.
False start. Offense number 61. 5-yard penalty. First down.
But I think up front is where the key problem lies for this team this year. And so what that means is misdirection for 17 and white, Jalen Daniels, for Puka Williams. And you're just going to have to try to manipulate the system as best as you can to produce yards on the ground and then eventually through the air. But there's potential here.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Kansas's offense wasn't on the field long enough for us to really talk about them much, but also not talk about Baylor's defense a whole lot. And Baylor's defense had a lot to do with the poor performance here tonight by Kansas's offense.
You need to see more of that. I'll go back to Velton Gardner dropping the wheel route and what would have been a short touchdown to make it 17-14 right before the half. If you're a team and a program like Kansas where you are in the building process, you can't miss that opportunity and think that you're still going to have a realistic chance to compete going into the fourth quarter. Those are plays, they were there, you got to make them.
Yeah, they are must-haves when it's designed properly. Your quarterback Daniels worked hard to even get the ball off.
Low pass to Lassiter.
And it was really a very similar concept, a wheel route to a running back that Charlie Brewer threw to Ebner for the touchdown. So you're exactly right. At halftime, what does the game look like if it's 17-14? Well, what difference does it make? It's 47-14. Well, at that point in time, it may mean a whole lot to a team that's just trying to get something to feel good about going into halftime.
Williams reaches backwards, bring in that pass.
See, and I think even on something like this, which is kind of mop-up time, is very valuable for Jalen Daniels because he definitely is throwing the ball differently right now. He's making quick decisions and ripping the ball into tight places. He wasn't real willing to do that in the first half, which is understandable with your first game at the FBS level.
Abram Smith, the stop of Puka Williams. Les Miles back to the drawing board next week for Oklahoma State. The undefeated Cowboys roll into town in Lawrence. Crazy weekend in the Big 12. It's one of the weekends that reminds you of how much we love college football, with the upsets, the unexpected close games, the emerging stars, KJ Costello, Skylar Thompson getting it done here in the Big 12 on the road. It's great to have it back.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I'm going to give you a helmet sticker for that because we're happy to be working together again. And be on the road calling these games, always a great time. Daniels takes off. And with a crease, tripped up. A shout out to a member of our crew, Pete Sosa. Lives here in the Waco area, one of our spotters and statisticians, hoping he's feeling better. Jace Andrews did a great job filling in for him tonight in the booth with us. We appreciate that. Get local celebrities everywhere.
Yeah, no question. Jace has gotten it done tonight.
He has.
Pete, you better hurry back. But I think the thing we're seeing early in this season is the disruption in preparation has made for some shoddy play at times. Tackling and getting lined up right, and that ball came out really late to Puka Williams. But I think there's a growing list of intangibles that are really byproducts of the COVID environment that we're all living in. You know, the starts and stops, and are we playing, are we not? Who are we playing with? Or do we have any guys in the COVID protocol or contact tracing, and multiple game plans, multiple opponents in some cases, like we saw at Baylor. And we're talking about 18 to 22-year-olds that sometimes are inconsistent when everything's going right.
Time winding down. And for the Baylor Bears, they were worth the wait to begin their 2020 season. 47-14, the final score tonight. The Bears win their season opener in the head coaching debut of one Dave Aranda. Jayhawks fall to 0-2. And another wild weekend of college football nearly complete. Big night for Trestan Ebner. Charlie Brewer finds a way. Final score 47-14. Coming up next, College Football 150. For Kelly Stopper and our entire production crew, I'm Roy Philpott saying good night from the Lone Star State.